Your sound, your music, your planet. Come to Patreon and get all the goodies.
This, my music-loving friends, is the Treble Clef Audio TCAM, a loudspeaker that challenges convention and breaks free from typical formulas to bring music into the room in a way that feels more like an acoustic instrument than a hi-fi system.
This is a speaker that will make all the acoustic material sound very natural. You'll just find the musicians are just in front of you and the speaker just vanishes in the soundstage.
What we have here is the sensational work of one man bringing his vision to life and subjected to the full force of the world-famous elite Silverback listening team. Each member represents a different profile, giving you unprecedented nuance and perspective, all pristinely captured using world-class reference DPA microphones. In this review, we also swear in a new Y-chromosome-deprived listening team member, and well, I also kind of try to molest the chief designer with a drone.
It's one small step for man.
But before we dive in, we need you to join our kick-ass mission. Yes, that means you too.
Me.
Yes, you!
I am me.
He's me, and I'm you.
Let's be honest, most of us are getting older, and the next generation has little idea of the magic that truly great music can bring when reproduced realistically on a hi-fi system at home. We want to change that. We want to inspire.
You, me, everybody's ass around here.
And we want to pay it forward, just like our fathers did. We don't get paid for this. Instead, we convert our work into something meaningful for mankind and the natural world. That's why I ask companies and viewers like you,
No, not me, you.
to join the cause. Contribute a small amount to our charity work. Our goal is to raise at least $20,000 for nature preservation to be donated by the end of the year. This happens through Patreon, where you get exclusive access to full listening sessions, advice, and other exclusives. You win, nature wins, and we get to deliver honest, uncompromising, and independent reviews driven by this purpose. A massive shout out to all our patrons and hi-fi companies supporting the cause already with a monthly contribution. Big or small, it's about numbers. It's about you and our fellow living travelers around the sun. We thank you. Let's be audiophiles united. Now, back to the regular programming. Just forget everything you know about speaker design for music reproduction in the home for a moment. Treble Clef Audio is not some massive fancy corporation. There's no boardrooms, no marketing departments churning out the glossy ads, and no cross-ownership between all kinds of giants. There's just Ole Sieg, a designer, an engineer who poured everything into creating something entirely his own, with his two daughters having his back. The TCAM is his decades-long vision manifested and brought to life. A speaker that doesn't look like a speaker, it doesn't sound like a traditional boxy speaker, and it's designed to deliver glorious acoustic experiences in real, lively rooms. This is a speaker for those who want high-end luxury audio without sacrificing the aesthetics of their living space. It's sculptural, it's elegant, but the shape is a result of function, ironically leading to the Treble Clef shape.
It wasn't a project that started with, I want to make a speaker that looks like a treble clef, not at all.
From the first glance, it's clear that it's a functional way to reduce diffraction and create a more open, spacious soundstage.
So sweet. It just sounds completely natural and organic, like you said. Nothing to fault here.
Very, very nice, natural sounds. Lots of detail.
Detailed and smooth and balanced and presented so big. Again, the speakers disappear and what's left behind is music.
It started actually from psychoacoustics. I wanted how does the brain and hearing work?
Yeah.
And then how does sound work in a room? Once I learned all that, what's the implication for a loudspeaker? What the physics and engineering, what are the implications to achieve what I saw as for me, ideal from the conclusions of all that research? And those engineering principles and those constraints and so on that you have to work with just meant I had to have something very slender. I had to have this folded dipole that is force cancelling, and there's all sorts of stuff going into that. It would take a long time to explain, but it looks very simple and elegant. It's full of principles. This is what we have the patent on. We actually got the patent in less than 2 years without any remarks from the patent.
So the bass driver construction idea that's patented?
Yes.
The enclosure is crafted from solid hardwood by a Danish furniture carpenter trained at one of Denmark's re-owned design houses. Each speaker starts as carefully selected raw planks, shaped and finished with precision. In the signature model here we are testing, you get oiled American walnut, but customization is a key part of the experience with multiple color choices available. Adding to the somewhat unconventional thinking of this design, the bass system takes a completely different approach. Instead of a traditional sealed or ported design, the TCAM uses two 10-inch woofers face-to-face, separated by a narrow slit, floating within a rubber surround. This setup eliminates cabinet vibrations and allows bass to radiate into the room in a much more natural way, closer to how an acoustic instrument produces low frequencies. Each driver has its own dedicated Pascal amplifier, pushing the total power well over 1,000 watts per channel. There are no passive crossovers. Everything is handled in the digital domain, allowing for ultra-precise time alignment, phase coherence, and tuning adjustments.
Professional. Very cool stuff. Boom.
This is a system built for control, for accuracy, and for integration into real-world listening spaces, and remarkably sophisticated. I was actually blown away by the level of engineering sophistication here. We have Dante digital input, we have AES, we have coaxial, we have analog input options. You get multiple tuning options to match your room and listening preferences, and voicings can be customized through the configuration software. If you want quick access, there's also a built-in touch display on the base of the speaker where all the electronics and amplifiers are integrated. The only thing you actually need to do is adding your source. This is Bang & Olufsen or Steinway Lingdorf levels of engineering sophistication here. The result of all this is totally transparent. For the final look, Treble Clef Audio takes a highly personalized red carpet approach to each customer. Each pair is crafted specifically for the buyer, making every TCAM a personal luxury statement as much as a high-performance audio system. My lovely wife, admittedly not the best example as she was purchased pre-installed like that.
Hi-fi компоненты. Мои главные увлечения – готовка, уборка и хороший массаж.
She loved the looks and the presence of the Treble Clefs. So did the rest of the team, except for Carsten.
My first impression was that I wanted to run away screaming because either it looks like an enlarged killer virus or it's some kind of equipment from the gym that you have to pull on or whatever the heck you're supposed to do with it.
It's a beautiful speaker to look at, right? When listening, it's just a piece of art.
Now let's dive into the best part of this wonderful creation, the sound experience. Starting with this review, we are stepping up on several fronts to give Patreon supporters even more. But first, we swear in our newest team member taking the pledge. Do you swear to share your honest opinions about the audio you are about to witness and resist the allure and embellishment and present your true feelings, even if the sound is unspeakably flat and dull?
I swear.
Pledge to keep your critiques free from biases, delivering testimony as authentic as the feeling the sound invokes in you?
I swear.
May your opinions be as pure as the sound waves you scrutinize.
Yes.
By raising the holy remote, high, you declare to be a truth-seeking audiophile, and in agreement with the pledge, may the universe be your witness.
Okay,
Lady.
I'm grateful.
Meet Patricia Mia Andersen, born in 1984 and raised in a home with no electronically reproduced music. Yep, this is the least technically biased Silverback team member, as pure as they get. She and her sister had to make their own music from the earliest age on piano and violin, leading them to discover the intimacies of the written music of the world, feeling it, using their instincts. Patricia kept sharpening her skills, and today she's a part of the elite performers in the renowned Danish Symphonic Orchestra. A big welcome. We look forward to hearing her music selections and following her growth as she experiences different speakers. And what a place to start with these guys. For the sound evaluation, I took out the review bench to give the Cliffs a bit more of a stage. Since they have all the amplification built in, all they need is just that source with a variable output. To keep things as pure as possible, we opted for the digital input. I originally hooked up the Cliffs with the new flagship Eversolo DMP-10 streaming DAC preamp, but quickly realized that the DSP functions in the software were buggy as hell, leading us to simply not trust it for this review. It would have been a great match though, as the unit itself provides next-level transparency and really well-engineered high-end hardware. We ended up using the ultra-versatile workhorse, the Lingdorf TDA-i 3400, feeding the Cliffs through its digital output via a Sword series coaxial cable from Swedish Supra Cables. We had the chief designer sign off on the sound to give us a factory-approved starting point. The founder opted for a Floyd tool-derived target curve and added a little 3 dB low shelving lift under 60 Hz. Silverback member Carsten heard the speakers exactly like that, while Lars, Sebastian and I quickly preferred the room-corrected sound.
And just listening to a couple of minutes here, for me it's too dark. The whole sound spectrum is too dark for me, so that's the first conclusion I can make. Much better. Yep. Now the spectrum energy is much more balanced, and it opened up the top end. Yeah, this is good.
Lastly, as an experiment, I set up a pair of Buchart Sub 10 subwoofers for sound engineer Tim Harris, integrating them with the Clefs in a boundary woofer configuration, crossing over at 80 Hz using a 4th order Butterworth filter and proper time alignment for amplifier delays and placements and so on. Again, Room Perfect integrated the subs to perfection, but given their size, they don't do much beyond adding a bit more SPL below the room mode at 46 Hz down to about 20 Hz. No subaroos.
Okay.
Surprisingly subtle. I was surprised how much came from the treble clefs themselves. Yep. I thought it would be a much thinner experience, but it just gives a little foundation right in the lower end.
Tim had his session in this configuration, but frankly, the sound was the same as Lars and Sebastian's to my ears. As always, use headphones for the sound examples captured by the DPA microphones. Remember to turn off any features like those reduce loud sound settings in Apple TV, for example, and the stable volume feature on YouTube. Check your sound settings for any additional EQ being added, especially in the low end, and you should be good to go. It's like extremely soulful recording, right?
Yeah, and these speakers are perfect for jazz. You know, you have the singer in your left ear, so obviously she's standing here, and you have the piano and the bass player here, and you could even hear the foot tapping in the beginning. And they're really good at jazz.
You got any Ella Fitzgerald? That would sound good on this.
I fell in love with you first time I looked into them, their eyes. You've got a certain little cute way of flirting with them, their eyes. They make me feel happy.
The whole rhythm group's over here. She's perfectly dry in the middle, and they got piano over here.
Yeah,
that's weird.
Fantastic.
My heart is jumping sure, started something with them, their eyes. You'd better watch them if you're wise. They sparkle, they bubble, they're gonna get you in a whole lot of trouble. You're overworking them, there's danger lurking in them, their eyes.
They do a nice disappearing act, also because of a very small front baffle. They just vanish sound-wise. Nothing to complain here. It's just clean and natural and good harmony overall.
Yeah, distortion is not the first word that comes to mind.
No. Keep them within their physical limits, and it's just very good.
Yeah, and I would say sitting here, I think it sounds so organic.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
It's just, like Lars said, very, very natural sounding.
Absolutely no digitalis.
No.
But it's all DSP'd and everything is digital.
From the first track, it became clear that this speaker doesn't behave like a typical box speaker. And you can just sit there and dream away in this soundstage, and you can play the speakers really low, and they still give you that sense. So they're very, very therapeutic speakers, if I can use that word. With that kind of dimensionality, it's almost like having a surround system or something. It's pretty amazing. It doesn't feel artificial at all. They're just great.
Hold my hand.
There's an effortlessness to the way it presents music. Nothing feels forced and nothing feels artificial. The imaging is vast, but not in an exaggerated, hyper-separated way some audiophile speakers try to present it. Instead, it just feels like the music is simply there, existing in the space. At low to moderate volumes, the TCA-M is stunning. The cohesion between the drivers is flawless, and the bass integration is among the most natural we ever heard. There's a warmth and a smoothness to the sound, yet it never lacks detail or precision.
Yeah,
wow.
Becomes a little bit shouty, but again, it's a polite shouting.
Yeah.
The stereo separations are very strong. I found some vocals over here, backing vocals, that I wasn't aware that they were panned that much, but they feel quite widely panned here. So again, a bit shoutier in the mid-tones as expected on this one, but still composed. They smooth things out, but without shading or holding back.
Yeah.
So things are presented, so and that's again so well composed.
Yes.
In their integration of all the all the elements. Good detail, great dynamics, very full experience. Must admit, I don't hear the speakers, I hear the sound field that they produce.
The TC-AM delivers a beautifully even response throughout the room. You can move around, sit off to the side, or even be in another room, and it still sounds like live acoustic music is playing right next to you. This is a huge value in everyday life where you don't necessarily sit dead center between two speakers all the time. But as we all know, speakers have compromises in one way or another. When pushed, especially with bass-heavy or highly dynamic music, the DSP starts to engage limiters to protect the drivers. This means that while the TC-AM can play loud, the deepest bass doesn't hit with the same impact you would get from a traditional sealed or ported design. So it kind of goes to show exactly what we hear there.
It's a pity because it's a beautiful,
such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, beautiful speaker. But there's something when you play music and you get kind of caught up in the emotion.
Yeah. You don't want that limitation?
No, you want to be able to turn up the volume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you nailed it pretty precisely. I mean, you and I are probably very much in line there.
Yes, good.
On that particular thing, because I'm really sensitive to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm deprived.
Yeah.
When I'm sitting there and all of a sudden the system has limitations.
Yeah.
I feel totally ripped out of the music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you cannot think about anything else that.
No, who took my cannons?
Yeah, come on.
My cannons.
Or the big place is not there. Yeah, yeah.
You're about 90 dBs.
Yeah.
Hitting, loving, rolling, revving.
Well, everything comes as a compromise. If you don't want any box in your bass, you pretty damn have to use some power and some EQ to make up for it. And that's what's happening here when we reach about 90 dBs.
90, yeah.
It starts to turn down the bass, or it just doesn't elevate it anymore. And that's the compromise you have to live with. This is not a party speaker per se.
For most listeners, this won't be a problem, but if you like to push the volume into more concert level territory, you might notice the bass softening as the limiters step in. For someone looking for the ultimate jazz or acoustic speaker, this is about as good as it gets. It breathes life into recordings, creates an immersive, organic soundstage, and makes instruments sound like they're physically present in the room. As usual, I was the one who got to live with the Clefs for a couple of weeks, and I enjoyed them from dusk till dawn when I was home. I had wonderful sessions at low levels at night where they still delivered great detail and realism, as well as critical listening sessions during the day. In all cases, they never stopped fascinating me, and they skewed me towards exciting acoustic music listening, where they were almost magical and very, very addictive. In fact, so much that Carsten, he gave me a gift consisting of 25 jazz albums you need to hear before you die. The treble clef TC-AM is something truly unique. It doesn't follow the rules, it actually makes them. It doesn't try to be all things to all people. It exists for those who want a more natural, effortless, and immersive way to experience real acoustic music.
It was spectacular. I love DSP speakers. So the idea of having this built the same way as my beloved Meridians is just fantastic. And I also think they sound great. Today we've been listening. Great sound stage. I think extremely precise, high resolution. You can push them a lot and they don't break up the sound stage. They don't, you can hear details. We heard a couple of songs like the Wilco, Art of Almost, which is very complex, and you continue to be able to hear the bass line underneath all the noise and distorted guitars and so on. So that's really nice.
It's good, very good for jazz. It gives us this live feeling of being a part of this concert. It has a lack of power in very complex music, like big classical stuff.
Acoustic instruments, acoustic guitar, piano. It was amazing. Even an old Rolling Stones song from 1969, I was just sitting there, almost falling over because of the sound.
These are impressive pair of speakers, I must admit. It's been a real pleasure listening to stuff on them. They seem to get out of the way of the music. They just present the music without me thinking there's a pair of speakers in a room. I'm just connected to the music, which is pretty much the ultimate gain the ultimate aim of any speaker.
I think his vision and what he wants to do with the speaker is very, very well executed. He's not looking for the young teenager to rock hard. He's looking for the more, well-heeled audiophile music lover that just wants to listen and just want the sound to be as natural and involving as possible. Overall, this just does the job very, very well on all the audiophile boxes are ticked. If you want to go above 100 SPL, this is not for you, maybe.
With its musical and artistic presence in any room, it really caters to the luxury customer who might otherwise maybe consider Bang & Olufsen top-end speakers for their design presence, but also wants something that sounds magically organic, with no trace of what we could call digitalis that kind of plagues some of those before-mentioned speakers. One can't really fathom that these speakers were developed and produced with such refinement by a small, new company.
You better not be wasting my time. You got money.
With a price tag of 93,000 euros, this is not a speaker for the wallet whisperer. In the world of high-end luxury speakers, it could be considered a bargain for what you get.
Come on in, gentlemen.
Considering that they are fully self-contained, handmade, active system with no need for external amplification. Compared to traditional luxury speakers in this price range, like the 100,000 euro Raido TD 3.8 that we previously tested in the Dream Speaker series here on the channel, the Clefs offers something completely different. An approach that prioritizes space, integration, and musicality in an artful display. This is just the most original, brave creation for the ears and soul I believe I have ever seen. The TC-AM deserves any jazz lover's full attention and serious consideration. If you get the chance, go and listen to these things. With this review, we introduce a new scoring system that more reflects a speaker's abilities in different disciplines. This way, over time, you can weigh in on what matters most to you. Each Silverback member scores the speakers from 0 to 10 in each category, and the combined result will be the final character. Take care out there, and remember, the world simply becomes a better place when we care and just listen.
Keeping your eyes and ears open for the next 18 seconds is considered being at your own risk. What follows is an excerpt from the original VHS dating tape from 1998.
Меня зовут Биргита, я из Норильска, Сибирь. Я люблю большие колонки, большие хай-фай компоненты. Мои главные увлечения – готовка, уборка и хороший массаж. Ты мой будущий муж? Пожалуйста, напиши мне.